My name is Dr. Christopher Munyiwa Kaneba. I'm a PhD holder in applied mathematics. Previously, I started my career as a teacher. I taught in high school for a period of 1.5 years. That was in 2018 to 2011 to 2012 August. And then after that, I joined the Ministry of Devolution and Planning as a field operation assistant officer. I was deployed in Mandera County, where I worked for a period of 3 years from 2013 to 2015. And then after that, within that period, I was able to finish my master's. That was in Masters of Science Applied Mathematics. That was in Kenyatta University. And I graduated in the year 2015 December. And then after December 2015, I moved from working in the public service, and then I joined teaching as a part-time lecturer, whereby I taught for a period of 4 years. That is from 2015 to 2018. I was able to teach in different universities as a part-time lecturer. First, I taught at Masai Mara University and also at Technical University of Kenya. Within that time, within 2018, I saw an advert from the Ministry of Education. That advert was about a scholarship, and the scholarship was specific to Chinese. That is a scholarship sponsored by the Chinese Scholarship Council. I applied this scholarship through the Ministry of Education, which was the nominating agency, and I went through the process of being shortlisted. I was called for an interview, and eventually I was awarded a full-time scholarship of 4 years, 4-year period. That is 2018 to 2012. So I was successful to go to China. I'm happy that the government of Kenya and the Ministry of Education, and in coordination with the Chinese embassy, was able to cater for my tickets. That was the return tickets to and from, and also they liaised all through my 4-year period to the time I finished. So in China, I studied Doctor of Science in Applied Mathematics, and my area of specialization was dynamical systems and control theory. Specifically, I studied and I did my research on fault-tolerant control system. That is whereby in mathematics we look at a system whereby a system can go on operating even when a fault occurs, and that in a nutshell is what I researched on during my duration of study. I had good times in China. I can say I enjoyed my stay there as a student. We had challenges, but we are able to overcome these challenges. There's nothing difficult that we cannot be able to overcome if you are given the will and you have the determination to do it. We've had challenges. I cannot say challenges, but incidents in my life that made me to look at life in a different perspective. First is my duration of work in Mandera County as a field operation assistant. I remember we had an incident whereby I was supposed to travel from Mandera to Nairobi, and during this time, that I can't remember the date quite exactly, but we had 2 buses, the first bus and the second bus. So on this specific day, I was on the second bus that was to trail the first bus, and the first bus that went, we had an incident whereby innocent people were killed. I can't remember the number, but maybe 28 people lost their lives during that time. And so I look at this incident, and maybe there's something there's something that was not yet fulfilled in my life, and I had another chance of living again during that time. But I still continued working in Mandera for a period of time to the end, whereby my contract came to an end, and I moved from there and I went to China. When I went to China, I stayed for 1 year, and maybe in the second year, that was in the second and a half year, we had the COVID pandemic. It started something like not so serious the way we had envisioned it, but slowly by slowly we took it. It seemed now to be serious, not the way it had started. So it started slowly. We did not have any news, but the challenges that we faced specifically during the COVID pandemic was maybe too much consuming of information, and we could not verify which information was the correct one. So we had challenges of anxiety attacks. We had challenges of whereby, because of the nature of the pandemic, we had to be confined to our hostels at times, or at times we also had to be confined within the university. So we lived by those rules. They were tough rules, but we were able to respect the university rules, and we were able to make it through there. I'm happy to say that through the whole process my time in China, I was not infected, or I did not get sick, either in the COVID or in any other type of illness. So it's something that I'm really thankful. The biggest challenge we faced during the pandemic was our movement. Our movement was restricted. We could not move outside of our cities at times, or at times we could not move outside of our provinces. But all these, we are able to overcome them. So these are types of the challenges. In terms of academic work, the academic work was not so affected for my personal case, because I was all through in school. At times, we had our lectures in offline series, but because I was still in school, we had also our lectures in face-to-face. So I was not really affected, unlike other people who were outside of the country, who had to do all the activities online. And also add and say that through my experience living in China, I can say that China has developed to the level that it has been through adaptation of technology. And this is something that I would like to urge my Kenyan youth, that we can take this technology. We have so many areas that can make our economy grow, such as artificial intelligence, whereby throughout the Chinese economy has been able to grow through adaptation of different technologies, such as artificial intelligence, data science, and through this we have so many areas of growth that we can be able to take advantage on. We can start our businesses, we can start our research institutions, such as big data academies in terms of research. We can start our small businesses using development from the science perspective to now the implementation of these things. So we have so much we can learn from the other developed economies. What I can say is that as the education system now is changing to the CBC, and we are already there, we need to get these hands-on skills. These hands-on skills are really the most important skills that are needed in the job market, because we have one side of learning and we also have the other side of implementation. So if we only learn and we don't implement whatever we are learning in class or whatever we are learning in school, we only tend to have so much knowledge that we don't put into use. So the CBC curriculum that is now being rolled out by the government is really a step in the right direction. These are kids maybe by the time they get to their early 20s, they'll be having so much skills. Their own social life skills will be much better. Their own skills in terms of adaptation to the job market will be so good because of their diversification. In my experience in China, what I came to learn about the Chinese system, I can only talk about the university system because that was the one which I was most familiar with, was that what I learned about the Chinese higher education system, it really emphasized on the practical implementation, and there was also so much emphasis on the specialization. You could have a student only studying one specific area and they will stick to that specific area. So if we have different categories of people specializing in their different areas and different subjects, then you combine all these people. When you put all these heads together, then the impact that will be out there will be so big. In terms also of the practical implementation, there is, what I can say is that the Chinese have really put so much emphasis on the research and development. That is, their universities are well funded, and their infrastructure, that is in terms of research capacity, is so well, so that students don't have to strain to get the requirements or to get the facilities they need to do their practicals, or to get a platform they can do their research on. I was awarded my Doctor of Science on 22nd June 2022, and in my graduating class of 2022 we had 6 PhD students, and from the 6 PhD students, the students who were within China, that is students who never left to go back to their countries, we were a total of 30. So out of the 30 students, only 4 students made it to the graduating class. And out of the 2018 batch that we joined as PhD students, we were close to maybe 107. So out of the 107, only 6 students were able to finish their PhDs and their postgraduates. So this actually, I can say, is one factor that contributed to this low number of completing. Is one major factor is the COVID pandemic. The other factor also is upon the ability of individual students.
My name is Peter Kaneba. I am Kaneba father. I have educated Kaneba for a very long time in schools. I was also working in schools, and I enjoyed his hard work, kind of work he was doing. Professionally, I am an accountant, and I liked maths so much. Though Chris did not have a lot of interest in maths, I made him have it. So the technology which was being involved in schools was not very relevant, especially when you did not go to a good established school. But now I took the initiative to teach him and to make him like it, and he liked it. Chris has done very well in maths, and when he went to secondary, he performed so well, and he was even assisting some students. And in all schools he has been offered some kind of mathematical management. Let me say management as an accountant. Managerial positions in schools and even in colleges. And one thing I liked as a father, when I was getting this information directly from the stakeholders of those who are teaching him, I got very impressed because he was doing very well. He did very well. In the university in China, he was very exceptional. He even got a very special reward in the university. And before that, Chris worked with the government. He worked with the government in Mandera. In Mandera, he was a very strong man, worked with the DC and the assistant commissioners. Those were the people he was working with. So I'm very happy about Chris, because I know wherever he is, he does his things very well organized. One thing I like about Chris is that when you give him the job, he will do it to the maximum. He doesn't leave anything undone. So, as a father, I have only sympathized with him during this time of job seeking, because the job we did at the Mandera got finished, so he did not continue. So when he came home, we realized he had nothing to do. But God willing, he got that scholarship and he used it maximally. Even in China, they wanted him to remain to teach. But because of homesick and other things, he decided to come home and see whether he can get somewhere he can work for this government. I was very happy when my son got that chance in China, though later COVID-19 came and they were restricted now to stay within the university. And in some cases, stay even alone in his own room. But he used that time to work hard. And up to this time when he came back, he was just staying in that room alone. And with maybe one student, we can call that student a roommate. Those were the people he used to work with. And language was also another problem, but he managed to learn and be taught by somebody who doesn't know pure English. But he did it, and he managed very well. In fact, they were, in class, they were about 26. Out of these 26, most of them did not do very well. And about 6 of them passed very well. And Chris was topping that list. He was the best. And he scored a recognized grade. And I was very happy, because when he came back, we feel he is a very strong man. All I can say to the young people is strictly hard work, and this work must be focused. They should see that they are working for the government or for the country they come from. That is what should be their aim. Because Chris is a very good example of these young people. He doesn't mind, he doesn't care. He has worked even in the universities without being paid. He has worked in Masai Mara, he has worked in a technical university, he has worked in very many universities here, but no university paid him. Advising Chris one time, I told him not to be so much overtaken by the phone, where young students use just technology to work on a phone the whole day, and most of the time, that useful time that they should do something useful, they spend a lot of time on phones, communicating to even wrong people, communicating to people who are even placing some information in the media which is not true. And you find somebody taking 1 year, 1 full year, just looking at those things. We have some students who are even forget to get lunch just because they want to see what is happening in the media. So it is not very, technology is good, but sometimes it makes others go astray and forget their line of study.